Hello students, today we are going to read about Thomas Hardy's famous poem Weathers, which presents two different type of weathers. First, good weathers, and in second stanza, bad weathers. In good weathers, he described to the spring and rain, and in bad weather, he described autumn and summer. Thomas Hardy, who was born in 1840 and who was died in 1928, was a Victorian and a modern poet. And he was English poet and a novelist also. His novels are very famous because he used an imaginary place in his novels, and that place is Wessex. In India, R.K. Narayan used an imaginary place, Malgudi. Similarly, Thomas Hardy used Wessex in his novels. Wessex, which is an imaginary part, is situated into the west of England. There is a real place, Sussex, which is in southern part. So Thomas Hardy used Wessex as in the western part. And this place is in his mostly novels are used. Now we should know about Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy was a poet and a novelist. In his novel, Wessex has an important part. He was born in Dorset in the West Country or Wessex. Dorset, which is called the West Country, and the poet imagined this country as the name with Wessex. Dorset, the West Country, and Wessex, all these are three for the same land. Wessex became the background of his novels and indeed of his life also, as well as R.K. Narayan makes Malgudi the part of his life, same in the way Thomas Hardy makes Wessex the part of his life. Important work, important works of Thomas Hardy is Under the Greenwood Tree. It is a poem which is very famous, and this title is taken from Shakespeare's famous play As You Like It, which was a romantic comedy. In that play, the melancholy fellow Jacks sit under a tree and then sings a song under the greenwood tree. And Thomas Hardy took this line as the title of his poem, Under the Greenwood Tree. And the second, The Mayor of Casterbridge. The Mayor of Casterbridge is a very famous play written by him, a very famous novel written by him, because it is very famous because it shows the falls and the downfall of a person's life who became the mayor of Casterbridge. A person who sold his wife for some 5 guineas, and then he became the mayor of Casterbridge, and at last the recovery and the reunion of husband and wife and the troubles and the miseries all are described in this play. This play shows the struggle of a person, a character, the struggle of a person who has X character but made only one mistake in his life, and then all his life became ruined. In the novels of Hardy, fate has an important role. His fate became against him and he was ruined by the situations. So we can say that this play is also settled in Wessex. Wessex is an imaginary place which is used in his most of novels. Mr. R.K. Narayan, who was an Indian story writer and novelist, also used the same situation as the Malgudi. Malgudi is an imaginary place situated near Madras or near Masuri, and Masur, not Masuri, Mashur, and he used this place mostly in his stories. One of his book of short stories is called Malgudi Days, and the guide is also situated in Malgudi, and most of his stories and plays all are go around to the place. So now look at the poem. The poem is about seasons. As we know, the weathers there are too many weathers as winter, rain, autumn, and summer. All these weathers are described in this poem. There are two types of weather. We know first is good weathers. Good weathers, as we know, season spring and rain. And as bad weathers, we know that summer and autumn. So these two types of weather are described in his poem. Each stanza describes one particular season. The description is so vivid that it is actually a picture spread before our eyes because it shows us the real picture of the weather. There are described two seasons in this poem. First, good season, and the second is bad season. As we know, summer is known as the bad season because at that time there is no foliage, there is no greenery on the trees, there is no water, no rain, and only the heat of the sun is all around there. So, and the shepherds and the cowherds also dislike this season because in that season there is no foliage on the trees and on the ground. Spring and rain, these are called the good season because there are vegetations and there are flowers and trees and the foliage and the grass. Everywhere there are greenery, and the shepherds and the poet himself also like that season because it is really a good season because all around there the fragrance, the flowers and the greenery, we can find everything all around that. So Thomas Hardy also described that he loves spring and rain season, but he dislikes summer and autumn season because it is without vegetation, without any beauty, without any greenery. Similarly, the people of this world also dislike summer and autumn, and all persons like to the spring and rain because this time prosperity has took the place. The poem. The poem is about good and bad weather. The first stanza describes good weather, and the second stanza describes the unpleasant weather. The good weather is rain and spring, and the bad weather is summer and autumn. The cuckoo bird likes the pleasant word. In first line, the poet described the cuckoo bird is also like the weather, and which was the spring season. In bad weathers, there is winter also, the theme of the poem of Hardy. Difficult relationship, sorrow, grief, war, and death. These are the mostly used theme of the Hardy's poem and novels. Difficult relationship, as we see in the Mayor of Casterbridge. In Mayor of Casterbridge, the writer shows the difficult situation of the relationship and the struggle of the relations. Now we will go through the poem one by one. First of all, the poet starts the poem with, "This is the weather the cuckoo likes, and so do I." The weather, spring and the rain, and the cuckoo bird mostly like this season, and the poet also. Means the poet said that there are two weather, good and unpleasant, and good weather is spring and rain, and he likes to the good weather, which is spring. And the cuckoo bird also like it. And in second line, the poet likes summer weather too. When showers tremble the chestnut spikes, means the shower tremble the chestnut spikes, means the rainy season which spread his showers to the trees and then make them wash, and then there is everywhere there is the greenery in the world. And in the third line, and nestling fly. This is the age when nestling. Nestling means the birds, the children of birds, and the nestling fly in that season because spring is the season when everyone became happy and birds also became happy and they try to fly in the from the nest. And in the next, and the little brown nightingale builds his nest. In next line he says the nightingale, the bird which sings very sweet songs, also make their nest in the trees in that season because it is the merry time and it is time to produce the children. A nightingale is a songbird which is very famous and beautiful, and they sit outside the traveler's rest. The nightingale sits on the branch of tree outside of their nest and sings for the traveling rest, the traveler's rest. The travelers goes from there and they sings a song to make relief them. It is a very famous description in the Wordsworth's poem Solitary Reaper also. Solitary Reaper compare Solitary Reaper and the Nightingale song, and he said that Nightingale sings a song to confront or to make comfortable to the travelers and the deserted sand. And this line also show that they are singing songs for the travelers. And maids come forth frog muslin dress. In this season, the maids is a very old word which was used for the girls. Maids come from frig muslin dress. They are wearing very uh, comfortable and very silky dress, and they come from their home with a covered himself and come from in old fashion for appear. Muslin is an old word and which is used for soft cotton or silkens. And citizen dream of the south and west, so do I. And in that season, in the season of autumn and in the season of rainy season, the citizen of dreams south and west, so do I. I also poet want to say that he also want to go in the southern area and in the west area of the country. The pleasant season make people different, and we have gotten to the second stanza. Second stanza represent the bad weathers. This is the weather suffered sons, and so do I. Sons means neglect. Second stanza describe that the sappers neglects this season because this is not good for them. They have cattle and there is no vegetation in that weather. In summer weather, there is no vegetation on earth and there is no vegetation on the trees also. And when beeches drip a brown and duns, this is a season when beeches left their leaves and the leaves fall down from the branches of the tree and one by one. So this is not called, this is in most of the poetry in all over the world in literature, autumn and summer are not liked. One except one or two poets who likes that season also, but most of people doesn't like that season because it is the symbol of destruction, because there is the naked trees, there is the naked ground, and everywhere only calamity. There is nothing vegetations, and there is no happiness all around the situation. And the thrash and ply, all the leaves of the trees are thrashed and ply, and hill hid tides throw and thor and thorough. Means all around there are only thor and thor. Means the thorn are everywhere. There is no flower in the situation, in the hills, in the ground. There is nothing in summer season. And meadow rituals overflow. And meadows is the grassland in which cows and sheep graze. And rituals are small rivers and streams of water. Overflow means be filled with too much water, flood. In summertime, there is the flood because the sea or the snow is the snow melt and the water come into the river, and then the situation of flood comes onto the earth. And drops on gate bar hang in a row. I love this line because it is, if you listen to the rhythm, you will hear how musical it is. It is also enjoyable image because the drops on gate bar hang on a row. The little words and shows a very beautiful line. You have ever noticed a row of drops hanging from some iron stick or trails, the open iron work in windows, fences, when the light catches them, it is very pretty. In the last lines, and rooks in family homeward go. The rooks is a bird just like the crow. It cannot speak or it cannot sing. So the rook's families homeward go, so do I. I mean, in that season, I also go towards the home because this is not a season to go on a journey, to go south, to go west. There is no time to go because this season is not good. There are floods and floods everywhere, and there are summer and hot noon, and the very dangerous weather, which is not good to travel anywhere. And poet goes home to the kind weather too. So this poem shows us that there are two types of season. First type of season is good season, and the second type of season is the bad seasons. Poet describe in the first stanza the good season, which is spring and rain. In the second stanza, he described summer and autumn and the dark winter, which are called the bad weathers according to the poet. As we see in first stanza, he shows that he liked that season, and the cuckoo bird also like that season because it is good. There is nestling, there is greenery, there is brown nightingales builds his nets, and the travelers are going here and there in south and west. They all around there is prosperity and movement. And the maids, which represents the girls wear the very sparkling dresses, which are very silky dresses, and citizen dream of south and west, and all of us, all of the person of the world want to go on south, means we want to go on a picnic or we want to go on a holiday. This is very romantic season because it is spring, and springtime is the prosper time in is known in this word. And in the second stanza, he want to avoid the season because it is summer, and summer is without vegetation, without beauty, without any romantic season, without anything which is romantic. So he want to avoid that season. And now we will move to the we will move to the themes of the poem, and the theme of this poem is weather. As we know, Hardy has many themes as difficult relationships, sorrow, grief, war, death. But in this season, he described the two seasons. And first season is good season, and second is unpleasant season. Hardy, who was famous for his novels especially, and used a very famous phrase which is Wessex. As I have told, Wessex is an imaginary place. There is no place in England there. There is Sussex also, and Sussex in south, so he used the Wessex which is situated in the west, into the west side of the country. And he chose the situation of his own Dorset village, which is called Dorset, as Wessex. And he described many people from that side and used the culture and the rain of that area. So we can say he became very successful in his attempt. In this poem, he want to show us two different type of seasons, and he got success in it because he described as well as we are in the season. We went into the season, we goes into the season, we go into the season when he described about the season. So we can say he got success in his attempt. Now I want to summarize all the poem which we have read before. First of all, we read in Poet's Pen Dover Beach, which is written by Matthew Arnold. In Dover Beach, he want to say that Dover Beach is a place where we became very sad. It make us sad because the movements of the currents make us, they are going and coming and they are going and coming as the person of this society, of this world coming and going one by one. It make us pathetic. It makes us very gloomy because it gives us a negative idea. And then he want to say that the beach is very famous for the beach is a place where we can find the warmth of the sun, and the sea is calm tonight because there is no tide, and suddenly the tide became full, and it makes the poet very sad. And there is another character which is Sophocles, which is a Greek character, and Sophocles also became sad when he saw the currents of the river, currents of the sea, and in the same manner, the poet also became very sad because he is in the mourn position of losing someone in his life. He want to say that sea of faith was once true and full and round the earth's shore, because there are many good things in the world and the sea covered to the earth, but now it is losing its it is tiredness, and the earth became barren by this situation. And he want to say that Dover Beach makes us very melancholy. And in this poem come in his new poem publication in 1867, and this poem shows his dark faith in the Christianity. Next poem we have read about Prospice. Prospice also is a passive mood poem, pessimistic mood poem जो है is this, because Robert Browning present in Prospice the death of his wife, which is Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And after 7 months of her death, he wrote this poem. Prospice means look forward. It means that we should not mourn to our dear persons too much or too long time, because it is not good for our health. He is ready to die. In this poem, he presents that he is ready to die because he was a fighter. He was ever a fighter, so he want to fight one more fight. But it would be the last and the best. In the middle of the poem, he became very optimistic when he said, "I was ever a fighter, so one fight more, the last and the best." He want to attempt his best into the last. He want to die. He is prepared to die in this poem. He said that he want to die to meet his wife. He want to embrace his wife and at the presence of God. He want to meet the God because he loves his his wife very much. In this poem, we see the gloomy ideas of the writer, of the poet, but at last he became very optimistic and said that I am not afraid of the death because death is only a sleep. It is just like a dream we are from which we never come back. So he is ready to die. In last lines he said, "Oh thou soul of my soul." He want to say his wife that your soul became my soul and my soul became your soul, means it is he is ready to die, and I shall collapse thee again and with God be the rest. And he want to embrace his life, and he said that he want to rest in the God's present. And this poem show the gloomy and the positive attitude of the poet. Now we will discuss about the poem Ulysses, which is very optimistic, which is very aspiring poem written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Alfred Lord Tennyson, who was a Victorian poet and who wrote many poems in that age, and he was very popular at that age. In Ulysses, who was the king of Ithaca, now became very old and don't want to stay at home because her son became young, and he want to give his kingdom to his son. And the public or the subject or the people of his kingdom are ignorant. He thought that they are ignorant person. They don't know what their rights and what their duties. So why do he waste his time on that area? He want to discover. He want to discover new lands, new countries, and he want to warn them, all of them. So he want to go on an adventurous trip. In this poem, there are two or three most important lines which I have explained one by one. First is, I cannot rest from travel. I will drink. I will drink the life till the last drop. And he want to say that I never want to stop anywhere because I love to travel here and there all my life. In middle of the poem, he said, I am a part of all that I have met. Means he became the part of that. He became the part of that history, the history of that part, and he will win. He won all the country in which he go through or he traveled. In middle of the lines, were all too little and of one to me little remains, but every hour is saved. Means he say that I have won many things, but it is seem very little to me, and I want to win more and more and more. When I am gone, he works his work and I mine. This line is for his son. He want to set the Telemachus is his son, who is very prepared to. He is very prepared, and he became very young at that age, and he can manage the kingdom. And at this stage, he doesn't need his father. So Ulysses said that I want to go from this place because I want to discover. I don't want to stay because presents stay represents the death, and he don't want to be the old person or he don't want to be dead. So he want to discover the new nations and the new countries, and he want to win the new countries continuously all around the life. It is not too late to seek a newer world, and there is not. He became never late that it is. We cannot make a new effort to do anything. It is never late. We can start any work at any time, as we can take example of M.F. Hussain, who is very popular or the modern modest poet, modest painter in India or all around the world. He starts his knowledge for English at the age of 40. Before it, he never can speak a sentence without any effort. So we can say that there is no time to start education. Every time we can start a new step, we can start a new work and at any time. And in last, he say, though much is taken and much abides, it shows the positiveness that he has taken much, he has won much, many of countries, but there are many other countries also in existence. This shows the hunger. This shows the hunger of adventure, the hunger of going to air and there, and hunger of power into the Ulysses character. This poem aspires us. This poem aspires us to work continuously. We should not stop at a point. We should go and go and go continuously. This poem encourage us to do work continuously. Now, the next poem is from William Wordsworth, To a Skylark. To a Skylark is a praise poem only. To a Skylark in the poem by P.B. Shelley, there are personal elements in that poem, but in this poem, there is only the praise of uh, skylark. Skylark is a little bird, which is very little in the size and sings the very sweet songs, and the poet want to praise him. The nest which thou canst drop into the will, and thou quickly wings composed, and the music still. He want to praise only in this poem the praising of the night, the skylark. Skylark is a little bird which makes music by his wings, by his lungs, and by his feathers, and he fly here and there. He make the pilgrimage of the sky, and he is the pilgrim minstrel, means the heavenly minstrel, heavenly musician who compose a very good music. The poet love the music very much and then praise to the bird. And in last, we read about the weathers. Weathers is a poem which is written by Thomas Hardy, and Thomas Hardy said in this poem that there are two types of weather which can be found in this world. First, the good weathers, and the second, bad weathers. As we have read that the good weathers is rainy season and the spring season, and bad weather is summer and the autumn and the dark winter. These are the bad weathers in this world. In this poem, the style and the technique. The style is simple and has a musical appeal. This poem has very many words which are very musical, and the rhyme scheme is A B A B C D C D. It is the simplest rhyme scheme. In olden days, the simplest time scheme was A B B B B. But in nowadays, A B C D C D. This time scheme is related to William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare make is very familiar in his sonnets, and this rhyme scheme is mostly used in the rhymed poem. So we can say Weather is a great poem which was written by Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy presents here about the weathers, and he picturized them as well as we feel them. We can feel the weathers as we read the poem. This poem shows the two types of season, and in this poem he used very good imageries, as the maid who wore the silken clothes, and there is a nightingale, there is a cuckoo bird. In these words, through these words, he described the season. And at last, he said that there are two types of season, and one is he likes it, and many of the persons like that season, but some person are every person likes the rainy season and the spring season, and summer season are disliked. Summer season is disliked by everyone, as the shepherd also. The shepherd doesn't like. Why? Because the weather is not good for his cattle. Cattle need foliage, cattle need grass, and in that season of summer, there is no grass in that season. So this is the poet's pen poetry, and now I want to introduce you a new book, which is Tiger's Eye. Tiger's Eye, we are going to read this book in the next class, and this is a book which help us to learn the speaking English, because it is written by BBC, it is composed by the BBC London, BBC, which is a very famous radio station, and in this book, he want to taught the students the tenses, the parts of speech, and many other things, and we will read about it in the next class. Thanks.